Facebook. Yeah, is it on here? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, let's wait till they're live and they'll introduce that. As soon as we start moving, they can see it.
So welcome everybody to the 5th dive of the Octopus Odyssey. I'm here with Dr. Beth Orcutt from the Bigelow Laboratory for the Marine Sciences. We're at Tengosed Seamount at a depth of 2,276 meters. I'll pass it over to Beth.
Thanks, Steph. Yeah, hello everybody. Beth Orcutt from the Bigelow Laboratory for Ocean Sciences. You are seeing live for the very first time the seafloor at Tengosed, which is a very large seamount here near the Dorado Outcrop, one of our targets for this expedition. The seamount is about 5 kilometers in diameter, and our goal for today is we're going to be climbing part of the southeastern flank of this feature where we, on the bathymetry, saw indications that the seafloor had basically had a wipeout zone, an area where the rocks had broken away, and we're going to work our way towards the summit today. Our goal is to see what kind of life lives on the seamount and to figure out if we find evidence of an octopus nursery here, like we've seen on the nearby Dorado Outcrop. Also to see if there's any signs of venting. Our prior hydrothermal, prior heat flow studies in this area reveal that this might be an area where seawater is recharging into the ocean crust. So bottom seawater going into the seafloor, but it might also be an area of discharge. So we'll be looking for any indications of that. Right ahead of us here, you see already 2 different kinds of seafloor features. On the right-hand side, you can see some intact pillow features with a manganese crust coating them. And on the left-hand side, you see a talus slope, an area where the seafloor has come undone and the rocks have tumbled down, all broken up, very angular, and not a lot of animals attached. So that's another indication of the instability of the seafloor. So welcome to our dive. And we hope you enjoy following along. I'll just be here for a few minutes until our next dive lead, Dr. Emily Cowell, will be joining in. And joining us on taking notes today is Dr. Holly Letts from the Scripps Research Institution, as well as an affiliate of the Field Museum. Just getting ourselves set up here, getting the ROV stable, and then we'll begin transiting up the sea slope. Yeah, there's not a field in there for talus, so I should put one in. What did you call it? Talus? Tallus. Do you want to hop in, or you want to hang back for a little bit? Yeah, no worries.
Chris, are you ready for that waypoint move, please?
So again, you're starting to see us passing over these. Well, it actually looks like a mixture of pillows and talus here. Attached to these rocks look to be some small sponges, these little white features.
Sorry, can you give a quick intro again?
You want to do it again?
Just a quick one, yeah.
Okay. Hey everybody, we are here on Tengosed Seamount, offshore in the Pacific Ocean, offshore Costa Rica. This is a seamount that has never been explored before with a remotely operated vehicle or any other kind of camera to our knowledge. So this is the first time that we are getting a view of this seafloor. We are currently on the southeastern flank of this seamount, working our way to the northwest towards the summit. We're currently exploring a part of the seamount where there were indications in the multi-beam that the seafloor had failed here, that rocks had tumbled down below. And so we're curious to see what those features look like. As we move up, we're going to be also looking for any kind of indications of an octopus nursery here, as one has been observed at the nearby Dorado Outcrop. This seamount is also potentially an area of seawater recharge into the ocean crust. Oh, that's an interesting fish behavior. Can we look at that for a moment? I don't know what that fish was just doing, but it seemed to be nibbling its own tail. We were just talking about how important stretching was at the beginning of this expedition dive, so maybe a fish is also doing its morning calisthenics.
I think he's embarrassed right now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, we can have a look around nearby. If we could just spend one moment looking at this coral right over here. That's something I'm not sure what it is yet. This dive is a little bit shallower than some of our previous dives on this expedition series so far. I see what it is. It's a broken coral. We saw the remnants of the coral just sitting below, and now it's covered with zoanthids. So even though the coral has passed on, the habitat is still remaining for other organisms. Okay, thanks. We can continue our movement. So as I was saying before, Tengosed, the seamount, is an area where prior heat flow studies have indicated that this might be an area where seawater is recharging into ocean crust. But it might also be an area where there's discharge. So we're going to be keeping our eyes peeled for any indications of that. And we're also just curious what animals live here and how might this environment be similar or different to the other seamounts we've explored in this habitat. Again, the type of rock feature you're looking at here, it looks like what's called a talus field or slope, an indication of rock failure from somewhere up above. All those rocks have come tumbling down the seamount. We're also seeing some nice corals off to the right, as well as some large sponges. If we could maybe swing over to the starboard side to see that ledge. So here's another live example of what looks like either hydroids or zoanthids attached to corals, as well as different types of corals. So we have both a black coral and pink there on the left, and other types of coral to our right. If we could spend just a moment looking at these stickier corals. Some of them are broken, but some of them look like they're still alive. One of our, there is an interest in seeing if there are any hard corals in this area. Most of what we've seen so far are soft corals. So we want to make sure that we spend a little bit of time looking. Yeah, these look still like soft corals. A lot more broken corals here than we've seen on prior dives. Okay, we can keep on going. Thank you.
Call from 1700. They may be having just issues with the calls.
Oh,
That's
very
that's a good
large.
looking one.
That's a very nice black coral. Can we?
Hey Jason, this is Tyler down the ROV. We got a waypoint moving. I can't tell if my radio calls will get through here. Yeah, we've been calling on the
The little baby one right above it.
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate it.
ROV control bridge.
So I'll be over. Thank you.
Perfect.
Many different large and small black corals here. This little ridge feature is heavily colonized. Oh, these are nice examples here where you can see the inside of these intact pillows that have broken. They often have kind of like a circular shape to them from the way that they form. This is a perfect example right in front of us where these corals are attached. You can kind of see the structure of these pillows as they've broken open. These types of lavas are extrusive. They erupt onto the seafloor. They chill very quickly, and so that's part of what causes that structure. For anybody tuning in, just joining us, we've just got to the seafloor a few moments ago and just begun this dive. We'll be on the seafloor for about 8 to 9 hours exploring here on Tengosed Seamount before we recover. And we don't know what we're going to see today, so everything is new. That looks like a Chrysogorgia. Could we spend one moment looking at this? I think we saw something like this yesterday. This is a type of coral, but a slightly different group than what we have been seeing. And I am not a coral expert, so if any experts are online, but I believe these are called bottle brush, sometimes corals from the group Chrysogorgia. I'm going to try to get as closer zoom on some of those polyps here. You can also see some associate animals using the coral habitat to get up into the water column. I think it's a bottle brush Chrysogorgia, which is spelled Chrysogorgia. I think. All right, we can come up. Thank you. See a lot of our particulate matter in the water here too. Off to our right, you see several different types of corals, as well as a stalked sponge, as well as some crinoids and other things attached to these corals. So you can see here that the corals are mostly attached to kind of these paved over pillows as opposed to on the talus. Oh, breakfast time. Another very large black coral there, right in the center of the screen, kind of in a horizontal position. And as of yet, no signs of octopus and also no clear indications of venting. How's the current down here today, Joe?
It's a little bit, but it's not too bad.
Okay, enough.
It's pretty chill.
This whiter coral on the bottom of the right, if we can just spend a moment looking at that. So again, this looks like a type of octocoral. Still not seeing these hard corals. These are some of the densest and largest coral fans that we've seen so far on this expedition. I might have the camera off to the right. I'm going to try to center it up again. Looking down, looking down, looking down. Where's the basket? Where's the basket? There we are. Okay, good. So we've got both a mixture of not only pillows, but also sheet flows in this area. You can see by that smoother, flatter texture with what looks like eruptive pillows on top, or maybe just a manganese crust. We have to collect some rocks to check. So again, more of this talus material. I'm going to add that to the description list real quick. Rock sample.
What, so the talus is that from broken coral lava?
It can be any type of lava. It doesn't just have to be pillows. What? Not what I'm looking for. All right, we now have an option for talus, I think. Yep, great. Okay, now you can log that. So a very noticeable feature difference here is that whereas before, just a few moments ago, we were in an area that had lots of corals, now we're seeing far fewer, which makes sense in these areas that are unstable, where rocks have been sliding down the seamount. It's not a great place to be a coral.
Something about the lights. See a lot of focus going crazy. just backwards again.
No, so.
Yep, a couple of urchins, as well as a few corals and sponges. Oh, a ray.
So skates have that distal tail fin,
Okay,
and that's how you can quickly tell the difference between a skate and kayak.
all right. It's a skate.
They have this extra, like these caudal fins on the end of the tail. So they have those at the very like distal end of the tail, like a weave skate. But I did just log it with a ray.
So again, behind this skate, you see very large pillows encrusted with light and also covered with a light sediment.
Oh, it's pectoral fins to grab the rock. Awesome.
Bonk. Oh, all right, let me turn all these off. Oh, one, two. Looks like we got a jelly impaled on that. No, it just got its polyps closed. You can really see how much stuff is attached to these rocks. Several different types of coral, an anemone, several sponges, different types of sponges. So now we're back into these intact pillows. We see these larger corals again. These type of lava features, pillow lavas, are usually highly permeable. They have a lot of fractures and cracks in them. So this could be a good area for recharge into the seafloor. These seamounts that we've been studying on this expedition were originally formed on the East Pacific Rise to the west of us. I don't know that we have an age for this specific seamount, but rocks from the Dorado Outcrop have been dated to about 23 million years old. And they have, as this plate has been subducting underneath Costa Rica, these seamounts continue to move off axis. One moment. Can we go back down just a touch? What is that right there? It's probably just a sponge. Yep, just a sponge. Okay. Thank you. See some larger corals and sponges to our left. Relatively large Venus space sponge, I think. Also a couple cucumbers, sea cucumbers. We're currently at a depth of 220 meters. We'll be working our way up to shallower than 2 kilometers today.
Chill, you're okay?
Yeah,
For with breakfast?
I'm good.
Okay. Do you have
All right, thanks for tuning in, folks. I'm going to hop away and let Dr. Emily Cowell jump in to narrate the rest of this hour.
Thanks, Beth. Hi, everyone. Yes, we're definitely seeing some big corals here. As Beth was saying, they seem to mostly be sort of congregating on these non-slip areas. So these larger pillows and away from those kind of rock scree talus areas, which makes sense. You're seeing quite a lot of broken corals as well around those areas. There's some interesting corals here, a lot of variety. Prime example there, you can see some broken corals to the left. A little shrimp flying past there. Yeah, I would imagine these corals have maybe been damaged by falling rocks. As Beth was saying, the pillar basalts here are quite sort of porous, so probably quite fragile and easy to break off and roll down and damage the corals that are forming. Wow, that's a A very big fan there. Can we get a little zoom on the polyps of this one, please? Just if it's easy enough. See if it's something we've seen before. Looks similar to some of the octocorals we've seen on previous dives, but I'm no coral expert. It's okay if it's going to be tricky. Thank you. Lots of small sponges on the rocks here as well. Something I've noticed just sitting back and watching the first part of this dive, there's quite a lot of sea stars and shrimp, such as pneumatic carcinus shrimp, the ones with the really long legs, that you would normally see more on these flat sedimented areas. Well, that's certainly what we've been seeing in previous dives. But you're seeing a lot of those up on these kind of rock fall areas instead on this dive, which is interesting. A lot of anemones too. Really impressive big fans on these octocorals. A lot of these sort of stalked sponges around as well. That, yeah, look like big lampshades. You are seeing some corals on these kind of rock slide areas, but they're definitely a little smaller and surrounded by broken corals. Oh, looks like a big sponge. That's really impressive. Wow.
Yeah. 4.5 buffers, nothing. Turn that off. Turn F.5 off. And then maybe we can kind of camera down into the brighter area. Let's see how that works.
Oh, that sea star is sitting
Yeah.
in person.
I saw that.
Oh my god.
That's quite funny.
What's that one?
The Patrick.
That's Patrick.
Hi. That's pretty funny. Ooh. Does look like it's thinking about life on the edge of that ledge there. Some broken corals right above it as well, it looks like. Again, maybe from being damaged by those rock falls. Can we zoom on that shrimp, just for a second. I can show people just if it's easy. So this is one of those nematocarcinus shrimps that I was mentioning. They have insanely long walking legs, if you can see. They're really interesting. Very cool. Very unusual, so they're very easy to identify. I think by all accounts, to actually get to species level, they're quite tricky. You need the physical specimen, and even then, it's quite difficult. From what I remember, it's to do with kind of pores on their underside, but definitely easy to spot the genus. They're very unique looking. Thank you. So yeah, normally you would see those on flat sedimented areas, or certainly from what we've been seeing so far. So interesting that you're seeing a lot of these on this side of the seamount so far. Again, several more broken corals here, and some sea cucumbers, holothurians.
That's,
Hey, I'm just bringing the speed back a bit because I'm getting a bit close to you. I thought the angle and vertical might not be great.
yeah, perfect.
It's awesome. Appreciate it.
Is that an autoclave focus issue coming on, right?
Yeah, it's been having.
I haven't noticed it.
Little fish coming in to say hi. Really nice footage there.
There's John.
Reminds me a little of our snailfish encounter from the last dive. They always seem very inquisitive about the lights. There's something we have noticed about some of these fish encounters is you often see that they look to be startled by the lights. You might see them sort of freeze for a moment and drift down, bump into the sediment, and then kind of regain their senses a little bit. It's probably the first time any of them have actually seen light, so not surprising really. What a beautiful coral here. With some, oh, anemone maybe growing on it. Wow. Really beautiful big fans we're seeing so far on this dive. In these spots that are clearly sheltered from some of the rock falls. Or perhaps it's luck of the draw, judging by the broken corals at the bottom there. Another big sea cucumber as well. That sponge, look, if that was one of those sort of lampshade sponges, looks like it's been damaged by something. You can see an intact one just above it. I'm not sure about that.
I can ask him the WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing how steep it is there.
Yeah,
It's almost straight up and down.
it is amazing. It is fairly common to see aggregations of sort of filter feeding organisms on the sides of seamounts. The seamount structure itself kind of concentrates the currents and allows for higher food delivery to organisms like the sponges and the corals that are feeding on particulate matter from the water column.
It's been not bad. It was only when I got away from the rock.
Some of the sea cucumber and some large fans here. They still all look to be maybe octocorals. A lot of them do, certainly.
Chinese, the interconnects, is it already on? Go to the lights on the right side and look at what the games are.
Sea star under that sponge there.
Sorry?
Oh, I was just commenting on the sea star.
There you go. That brightened it up some.
Great, thank you. Right, you can see those corals are almost on a sort of overhang there. We will be trying to keep our eyes open on this dive for hard corals. There's a black coral, just a small one there, in amongst those fans. We haven't really seen hard corals on any of our dives so far. I think they tend to be more limited by pH, so they're more limited to shallower waters. So if we're going to see them anywhere, hopefully somewhere on this slightly shallower dive. Most of our dives have been in the sort of 3,000 meter range, whereas this is around 2,200 meters right now. Little fish and some sea cucumber. Again, more broken coral. You can really see the areas where rock has actually snapped off these pillow lava here. Little gallopade as well there. Squat lobster hiding under some of the rocks. There's another one. Looks like there's a crinoid growing on that broken coral down there. Yep, there it is.
Rachel was telling me that they had been in for like 2 weeks on Dorado to sort of figure out that there was the shimmering water affecting. Yeah, so I think that it's like we're looking for it right now, but it's hard to expect to know what's going on.
Yeah, so one of the main purposes of these dives on each of these new sites is to see if we can see any shimmering water, any fluid flow. I know that this is expected to be a recharge area, so where seawater is actually going down through the sediment and into the crust. But you never know, you might keep our eyes open for some discharge as well. Holly was just reminding me that at Dorado Outcrop in the previous dives there in I think 2013 and 2014, although I could be wrong, they looked for weeks before actually finding the discharge, despite the fact that now we know where it is. It's quite obvious. It's just tricky to find these things on such large structures. Dorado, in comparison, is very small compared to these large seamounts. So we'll definitely be keeping our eyes open on all of these dives, see evidence of that. Some lovely corals there. Really defined polyps on these ones. Wow. Typically, what we've been seeing so far is areas where we're seeing the discharge tend to be indicated by areas of dark rock that's been cleared of sediment. Oh, those images are amazing. Great, thank you. Looks like that rock above the corals there seems to have broken off pretty recently. It doesn't have any sediment on it. At Dorado, we're also seeing those big octopus nurseries right in the areas of fluid discharge. So that's another good indication. We're not sure whether the octopus at Dorado are actually choosing the fluid areas for the fluid itself, for the warmth, or perhaps just for the fact that the sediment's being cleared off, so it allows for a good attachment for the eggs. So that's something that we're interested in studying on this cruise. And when we come back in December. It's amazingly steep. Mm-hmm.
Is this cruise more like the students here get a good grasp what we'll come back and check out do that, or is it?
Yeah, to an extent, they're also putting down a lot of deployments that they want to come back and recover in December. So Dorado, for example, would put down like the pots, clay pots and pipes and things, and they want to see if the octopus there seem to be settling in those sort of bare environments, or if it's specifically to do with the fluid flow. So yeah, but I think a lot of the dives on this cruise are quite exploratory to get a good idea of what's going on, and then we'll come back and have a look in December.
You be back on that cruise as well?
I won't.
No?
No. I think quite a few people from this cruise will be.
She'll will be. I'll be here.
Looks like some more of those Pneumatica sinus long-legged shrimp. These sponges are amazing. You see more broken coral in the background there as well. Maybe from those rock falls. It's interesting, this site. It's not completely different from what we were seeing at large Fuente Seamount yesterday, but definitely some differences. Seeing more in the way of these urchins, like you see the one here. More sort of mobile benthic fauna, like the urchins and the shrimp, the sea stars. Oh, nice. Thank you.
No, I've seen several of these. I'll find out what they are. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely obvious that these larger corals seem to be focused primarily on these kind of large pillow lava outcrops, whereas these sort of channels and rock slide areas have much smaller corals and far more presence of broken corals. Yeah, the sea cucumber there.
It's skinny pretty big. It's out of those hands.
Yeah, a lot of stalked sponges on this dive, far more than we were seeing yesterday. Saw a couple yesterday, but not a huge number from my memory. It seems to be one of the main types of sponge on this dive so far. That's interesting.
What are the little blue dotty things that are on the bottom side of the rock?
One of those little pneumatic arsinus shrimps being blown around by the ROV there.
Park. Catch up a little bit. Take a look at those.
Some small sponges and brittle stars there. It looks like maybe even a supulid or a cephallid. Hard to tell right now. A Christmas tree worm.
The autofocus, I get it backwards.
Get it.
Thank you.
We just had a question what those were or something. Taking a look at them.
These are these? Oh, the orange bits?
Well,
Those.
yeah, the sponge.
These?
They
Yeah,
look like little
sometimes.
blue dots from a distance.
Yeah, some kind of sponge. I'm not sure what. There's a lot of them all over this site. Little orange bits are interesting too. It's nice to really zoom in and have a close look at things sometimes. You miss a lot of stuff otherwise.
Texture of the rock.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's some kind of sponge. Little-
Like the orange things.
And then, I don't know what these things are. No, it seems like a sponge.
Yeah, the bigger ones are big sponges, the orange ones are not. Yeah. Maybe.
This looks like an animal or something.
Which does?
No,
Possibly.
star.
Or a little, maybe a little retracted edge or something. Not edge, anemone.
Yeah, maybe.
Hard to tell. Very pretty. Thank you. Yeah. Large sea cucumber there. Seen a lot of variety in sea cucumbers.
Yeah. Definitely not what.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know when their time is.
Mm-hmm. Mm. The colours on the sea cucumbers were amazing as well. They stand out against the sediment.
Yeah.
Close up on that, maybe?
Yeah, maybe that would be nice.
Yeah, can we have a close up of that? I guess we could put the lasers on and things as well, just out of
Oh,
interest.
that is so interesting.
So pretty.
Can we collect it? Can we collect it?
I don't know.
Or
I
pass
think
you on the
my
direct line?
my understanding is that we're saving some collections for a little bit later on.
No, but it's the bio box. Sorry, the boxes for the.
Specifically the cucumbers.
We can use coral fibers on the snores.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you think it's one that
We just haven't collected this one.
Sergio would be interested in.
Yeah, because I like, he and I are both interested in looking at the microbes.
Microbiome.
Yeah, and so like the more diversity we can get, the better. So
Sure.
when you see something unusual like this,
Yeah.
you can just, I don't know if they've been slurping them or.
No, they've been.
Putting them in,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
coral quiver.
You want the scoop or just grab it? Let's grab it.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we.
So we've got some interest in this sea cucumber.
Yeah, we don't have this one.
I'm gonna try and.
Yeah,
get
okay,
it up
sounds
a
good.
little bit, I think.
Got some interest in collecting the sea cucumber to have a look at its microbiome. We've been trying to collect a variety of sea cucumber species across these dives, and this looks like one we haven't seen before, so I think we're going to give it a go.
Yeah.
Possible. We've created our own heat flow there.
Oh, really? Yeah, that fresh water moving in
Yeah. Kind of fun to see. So just for the question in the chat, there's a little summary of what we've been up to so far as we collect the sea cucumber. We're at Tengosed Seamount up the Pacific coast of Costa Rica. This has been this has had some heat flow measurements done in the past, and it's been identified as a possible recharge area where water is entering the sediment and entering the crust. It'll be discharged at areas like the one we saw at Dorado Seamount with the octopus nursery that we've been observing. Despite the fact we think it's probably a recharge area, we're still keeping our eyes open for any evidence of discharge, so evidence of fluid flow out of the sediment, which almost looks a bit like it's happening right now, but don't be fooled, that's from the fresh water that was in the coral quiver mixing with the salt water. But as we're going up the seamount, it's not a seamount that's ever been dived on before. The heat flow measurements that were done from the ship with a heat flow device that works similarly to a gravity corer, so it's dropped from the ship into the sediment. So this is the first time anyone's actually dived on this seamount. So at the minute, we're mostly just doing observations all the way up the seamount.
Wearing a mask with glasses.
I think the back of the wrist, especially around those, so you need to this more.
But what we've been seeing so far is a lot of coral and sponge up the side of the seamount. A lot of broken corals as well. Hello.
Sorry? Oh, I thought I was touching again. No, I was just trying to get better. Okay. You got it with right there.
The seamount looks like it's got a lot of rock slide areas, talus areas, which are probably causing a lot of the broken corals that we're seeing. Oh. Just about left. Some of the colleagues on the ship are interested in collecting a variety of sea cucumbers to assess their microbiomes. So this is another one that we're collecting. We think is a different species to the ones we've collected so far. We're just putting it in the coral quiver right now. Oh. Looks like it's stuck on the manipulator arm a little.
Yeah, we'll straighten it up.
Just give you something to pull back against.
Oh dear.
Sorry about that.
Oh dear. There we go.
Screen. Not stressed.
There's a little overview of the map of the area. We're making our way up this, the peak of the seamount. You can see the track that we're about to follow from southeast to northwest. This remount's called Tengosed. Unfortunately, I don't have a 3D overview. This is the best that I can do for the maps.
Was the damaged coral clip from yesterday replaced?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we fixed everything that was broken. It took a while.
I can imagine. Did we work out if it was a record length dive?
We established that it was the longest dive that Adam and I had ever been on, which
Yeah.
makes it at least 2016.
Okay.
So we'll take that as a guess.
Yeah, I'll take that. Great. You can probably have the lasers off now as well whenever you have a second. Thank you. Okay, so that's the end of my shift. We're doing 1 hour shift at the minute for the dive leads. So Beatrice is about to jump on. She can introduce herself. Thanks, everyone.
Literally on the side of the
Good morning, everyone, deep sea lovers. This is Beatriz Naranjo from the University of Costa Rica. I have here with me Holly from the Field Museum of Chicago and Schmidt Research Institute. Happy to be here. I will switch to Spanish to speak to my Costa Rican and Latin American folks, but I will be speaking in English once in a while. Buenos días, esta que les habla es Beatriz Naranjo, muy feliz de estar aquí viendo mi país desde la sala de control del ROV SuBastian. Aquí en el centro de control tengo conmigo a Holly Lutz del Field Museum de Chicago. Holly estudia microbiomas y ese pepino que acabamos de recolectar no solo lo vamos a identificar, sino que también Holly nos está ayudando a estudiar todos los microorganismos que viven dentro de toda la biodiversidad que estamos observando. Tengo por acá también al doctor Jorge Cortés, una persona muy importante en el desarrollo de las ciencias marinas del país, y a quien todos los ticos que estamos a bordo le agradecemos esta oportunidad, al igual que a la doctora Beth Orcutt, la otra cojefa científica de esta expedición. Ahorita estamos explorando el montículo de roca conocido como Tengosed. Literalmente significa tengo sed. In English, Tengosed means I'm thirsty. And la razón por la que este montículo se llama Tengosed es porque se tiene evidencia de que es un sitio donde el agua entra por la roca hacia la corteza terrestre. Esa es una de las principales razones de estudio por la que estamos en esta zona. Y, por ejemplo, para los pulpos se cree que este flujo de calor a través del agua que entra a la corteza es bastante importante, ya que el agua entra por las zonas rocosas que no tienen sedimento, viaja varios kilómetros a través de la corteza y vuelve a salir en sitios como el Dorado, que fue el primer buceo que tuvimos y al que vamos a regresar. Cualquier pregunta que tengan en español, estaremos muy felices de intentar contestarla.
está pidiendo ahí, pero que dice cuál.
Ujú. En pantalla tenemos un coral negro. Hay unos corales duros por allá a la derecha también. Can we collect that?
I'm sorry?
We will want to collect that.
Collect?
Yeah.
Está negro,
Mhm.
desde la base.
Yeah, we need it from the base.
The whole thing?
The whole thing, yeah.
How big it is.
How big it is?
It's not too big, I think, we can do it all.
All right. So, let's go for now.
Yeah, we're taking it.
Sí.
Se ven las tomas así,
Mhm.
como de la
Yeah,
base.
maybe. We will want like a close up of the base with lasers and without
Okay.
for the collection. Yeah, thank you. A bordo tenemos a Odalis Cabridi y a Wendolyn Matamoros, que trabajan con corales negros y octocorales. Este es un grupo bastante difícil de identificar. Se necesita la ayuda de herramientas con mucho aumento, como la microscopía electrónica, que se realiza en el Centro de Investigación en Estructuras Microscópicas de la Universidad de Costa Rica, al cual ellas están asociadas. Y la razón por la que en este caso vamos a recolectar todo el organismo es porque muchas de las características diagnósticas que nos permiten identificarlos están en la base del coral.
Es una extraña.
Mhm. That's weird. We don't know what is that like in the center. Yeah, amazing.
Looks like another animal attached.
Mhm.
It does,
Mhm. Un saludo ahí a las estudiantes y los estudiantes del CIMAR que nos están observando. Esta ha sido una gran oportunidad y una de las, para mí, mayores oportunidades. Ha sido increíble cómo nos han tomado en cuenta a la delegación costarricense. También tenemos personas de Brasil, del Caribe, de México. Y las personas que estudiamos en Latinoamérica sabemos lo difícil que es tener oportunidades como esta. Y para mí eso es uno de los aspectos más valiosos de esta expedición, como es una oportunidad para generar capacidades de investigación en nuestros países.
They're also honest about having the settings right too, so we have to adjust it. All right.
Estos corales, tanto los octocorales como los corales negros, son bastante importantes en estos ambientes porque son parte de los organismos que junto con las esponjas le dan mucha tridimensionalidad al fondo, permitiendo ofrecer refugio a muchos otros organismos que son bastante importantes en estas áreas. En pantalla también vemos estrellas de mar. El camarón rojo es del género Nematocarcinus, tiene algunas prolongaciones bastante largas en su cuerpo. Tenemos anémonas. Ahorita lo que estamos haciendo en Tengosed es buscando evidencias de flujo de calor y vamos a ir subiendo por una dorsal que tiene roca expuesta hasta llegar a la cima. Es el buceo más o menos profundo que vamos a tener a lo largo de la expedición.
Pero esos no se han recolectado otros, ¿verdad?
Vamos a comprar este.
Sí, ese y ese rapidísimo, bueno, yo creo que
¿Cuál
lo
otro?
tenemos. Ese es una sola roda.
Ok, lo quiero también.
No sé, porque no sé si en qué sentido tenemos. Sí, sí, agarrando la rama.
Okay, la puntita aquí.
Sí, como
Okay.
con un pedazo considerable, porque no tan enorme.
Okay.
Y ese ramito. Y también uno muy delgado, ramificado.
Ah, como un
No sé si
crisogorgia.
este es otro.
Así no tuvimos como
Que
crisogorgia.
parecía como. No recolectado ninguno.
No, no.
Sí, a ver qué dice. Esta es la guía de eso.
I think we're saving 2 bio boxes for octopus.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's
Yes.
yeah, they would put it in the cooler.
Y si se usa metagenómica para procesar igual.
Tenemos una pregunta en el chat de Ivonne sobre cómo se analiza el microbioma y sí, correcto, eso se analiza con metagenómica. So we will be collecting this black coral. We have a couple of experts on board that work with this group. We will take it, we will try to collect the whole animal just because most of the diagnostic characteristics are on the base of the coral. So we try to just have pieces of the corals, but in this case we need the whole animal. Queremos una muestra de esos zoantes. Son zoantes, ¿verdad?
Ah, sí, sí, sí.
Necesitamos una.
Como un pedazo de la rama.
Pero si son zoantes sobre un coral muerto, ¿verdad? Parece. El camarón quiere estar en la pantalla. Como ven, en esta zona, en todos los buceos sobre la roca hemos observado una gran cantidad de sedimento. Estamos en una zona de influencia del domo térmico de Costa Rica, una zona de alta productividad, y eso hace que en la nieve marina que cae al fondo vaya muchos compuestos orgánicos. Y esa es una de las razones también por las que hemos estado observando muchos pepinos de mar, que son indicadores de sedimentos con alto contenido de materia orgánica. Como ven, tenemos pilotos bastante experimentados en el manejo de estos equipos. Son bastante parte importante del trabajo que hacemos. Como dice un comentario en inglés en el chat, estos organismos producen mucho moco. Cuando llegan a superficie, estamos siempre preparados con contenedores llenos de agua para colocar los organismos en ellos. etiquetarlos correctamente. Tenemos todo un sistema de etiquetas desde que se hace la colecta hasta que regresan a la superficie para poder asociar las imágenes, los videos con el organismo que corresponde. Beautiful coral, indeed. Ayer fue el Día de los Océanos. Espero que todos hayan celebrado el día, un día muy importante. No solo porque es el Día de los Océanos, sino también el cumpleaños del doctor Jorge Cortés. Así que aquí lo celebramos, muy felices de estar en alta mar, explorando nuestro país. We have spaces in the bio boxes, but we are trying to save that for some other collections that we hope we can do later on the dive. So we're gonna try to put this here, if possible. So let's see if we are able to do that.
Go ahead and try to see, like 6 or 8 of them. Try to get those in deeper. And we may just have to, once that's in there and hard, we may have to try to grab the rest of it. Yeah, I think so.
Right now, Wendolyn is not in the control room. We have that question in the YouTube chat. Odalisca was here a while ago, but right now we don't have Wendolyn or Odalisca. It's 8 a.m. here in Costa Rica, so it's breakfast time. Just after that, we will have more people in the control room. Yeah. Is it possible to put it in the other way, like grabbing the tip so they can like, yeah.
They won't break if I grab it from the tip and try to put it down.
Yeah, like grab it from the top of the coral and put in the base first in the quiver. I don't know, it's just a suggestion. I don't know if that works. Because the arms will be like this.
Exactly, yeah.
Might be easier.
Now that we can grab it, yeah, we can probably do that.
Para aquellos y aquellas que están sumándose a la transmisión en este momento, estamos explorando el montículo rocosa conocido como Tengosed. Este va a ser el buceo más somero de toda nuestra expedición.
But just try not to get into the blades.
Comenzamos la inmersión alrededor de los 2200 metros y la meta es llegar a la cima del montículo a unos 1900 metros de profundidad. Todos los buceos que hemos estado haciendo han sido a 3000 metros aproximadamente. Y este montículo que estamos explorando es bastante grande, de unos 20 kilómetros cuadrados aproximadamente. Mide de ancho unos 5 o 6 kilómetros. Ahorita vamos a explorar una pequeña parte apenas en una ruta de 1 kilómetro aproximadamente, un poquito más, como 1.2 kilómetros. Así que va a quedar bastante sin explorar. Esperamos realizar otra inmersión en este sitio para alcanzar su base. En este buceo no llegamos a la base, que se encuentra a unos 3000 metros. Vamos a hacer eso en un buceo futuro para seguir haciendo las mediciones de flujo de calor que han observado en otros buceos. Estamos buscando esas señales de agua ingresando o saliendo desde la corteza terrestre. Es una de las investigaciones más importantes que estamos llevando a cabo. Tenemos a bordo a un geofísico y una hidrogeóloga como parte de nuestro equipo interdisciplinario. También tenemos, bueno, la mayoría somos de carreras como biología y microbiología. Tenemos con nosotros también a una paleogeóloga de la Universidad de Costa Rica, del Paleo Lab, y es bastante interesante tener tantos expertise a bordo. Nos da una idea mucho más integral, más diversa de todo lo que estamos observando. Aprendemos muchísimo todos los días. So I'm seeing some questions on the YouTube chat. We don't have electron microscopes on board. We just have light microscopes. So these will be preserved after we photograph them in the lab. And then all these specimens will go to the Museum of Zoology of the University of Costa Rica for further analysis. All right, so our pilots were able to put this coral on the quiver. Amazing. By the way, the weather is fine. We had some rain last night. But yeah, if you go outside, it's really hot. We're in Costa Rica, so it's good to be outside and remember that away from the air conditioning. Okay, so we have our coral in the quiver. Well done. I would like to do some other collections here.
Okay. Yeah, so the tips, it's all the way at the bottom. The tips are
Alright.
barely sticking out.
Okay,
It's,
I think it's okay.
you got the most of it though, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, the most important in these corals is the base.
Okay.
So
You can
a
go
small
ahead.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to kind of sacrifice here the tips of the coral because it was too big. But as I said before, most of the characteristics are in the base, and we still have a lot of polyps from the branches, so it will be okay. Tenemos otros organismos cerca que nos interesa recolectar, así que nos vamos a quedar en la zona por unos minutos más en esta misma área. Good job.
So the one behind there, we pumped. So I see the backside, just push down on the backside a little bit of one. Yeah. The other side. I should have said forward side. I said that. Backside is part of the camera view. So the links for it. That's all good.
Estamos.
Yeah.
Sí. No hay otra. Sí, hay que guardar los cajas para si encontramos algo.
Si lo hubiera como haber agarrado todas las ramas sin
So there
hacerlo.
may be another collection here.
Sí, pero no se logró porque quedan unas por fuera siempre.
You said there's another collection?
Yeah, we will want a branch of this here, and then the one of the back. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna slide over then.
Este era, ¿verdad? Que queríamos.
Sí.
Ujú.
Como aquí,
Ujú.
un buen pedazo.
Ujú.
Que no sea tan largo, ¿verdad? Aquí sería un
Sí, sería muy largo.
Poco.
Ok. Ujú.
Igual allá atrás.
Sí.
Es bastante, me recuerda un poco los montes submarinos que llegan por otro lado.
Es cierto. Ujú.
Las profundidades.
Ujú. Vamos a fotografiar este espécimen antes de recolectarlo. Es parte importante de lo que hacemos, poder asociar todas las imágenes bajo el agua con las recolectas. Como mencionaba en inglés ahora, Todas estas recolectas que estamos haciendo van a ser depositadas en el Museo de Zoología de la Universidad de Costa Rica para ser analizadas con más detalle como parte de las investigaciones del Centro de Investigación en Ciencias del Mar y Limnología, el CIMAR, y el CIEMIC, que es el Centro de Investigación en Estructuras Microscópicas, donde contamos con microscopios electrónicos que nos permiten un mayor análisis. Esto que estamos viendo es un coral muerto con zoántidos que viven encima, parte del mismo grupo de los nidarios, que incluye todos los corales, las medusas, un grupo bastante grande. Next, maybe we will have like this branch here. It's too big for the quiver. I mean, it's that that will be enough for the quiver. It'll be okay.
We'll give you the biggest one we think we can put in
Alright,
for
yeah.
okay, sure.
Thank you.
How about from here?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, yeah.
So
So
see
we-
that?